All right, Nick, you ready for a little debate, brother?
Let's
It's
go.
no secret, I think, to how I feel about some of the jargon that gets thrown around. And I want to preface this with saying we both, I think we trade a lot of the same ways. I think most
Yep.
people trade a lot of the same ways. There's many different ways to come up with a level, with a short. We can both look at a chart, come up to the same level using whatever we use, right?
Yep.
But when you and other traders talk, to me, it sounds like Harry Potter casting a spell in my brain. It sounds like you're I can't even think of a Harry Potter spell. Patronus is that one?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
That's what it sounds like to me. So that's kind of what I want to talk about and discuss today. And I have a feeling by the end of this we'll both kind of agree on the same point. But
Probably not.
why do you think some traders act like using plain English is beneath them?
I think there's two different camps, man. I think there's. Why do you think it's beneath us? It's not beneath me. Is that the overall question? I don't think it's beneath me, but for me, it's a hard set of rules to follow. It's like saying my car needs gas. If the gas is empty, I go fill it up. Or if the tire PSI reads 28 instead of 38 or 18 instead of 30, I go fill it up. Right? It gives boundaries. It gives the bumpers to follow. Now, I think there's a lot of people, to your point, who get caught up in the jargon just for cool points. Right?
I agree.
They say it out loud because it makes them look smart. And I think it's a very, very fine point in the influencer space that if they're not talking like that, they're not successful. And they're not successful and they sound stupid talking like that. That kind of makes sense?
Well, they sound smart to stupid people.
Yes,
I
exactly.
think.
They sound, because
Yeah.
I'll catch it. He'll say something, off the wall that I would usually say, but he says it in the exact wrong area of the charts. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, he's just faking it.
So I feel like a lot of it, like when I listen to, dude, it's so hard for me to listen to someone else TA. Like it's literally, my brain just clicks off instantly. But I force myself to every once in a while, and it seems like they use highfalutin jargon as like how you go to a club and they got that velvet rope outside the club, right? Where everyone kind of lines up and they can get in
man,
or
if you don't know what
outside.
the order block is, you can't get by the rope.
Exactly. And it's not even just order block, right? There's a lot of things. And I don't think trading is the only industry that does this. I mean, we could talk all day. We could talk all day about realtors.
I've been looking at watches. I'm trying to buy a nice watch, and dude, the jargon in the watch world's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like they use it as a velvet rope to say, I know something that no one else knows. You have to go through me. I have figured out the mysteries of the market. It's like, let's talk about order blocks for a second.
Sure.
So, when I hear order block, I just instantly, here's how my brain works. Order block, right? Draw a straight line at that same place and it's the same thing. So why are we reinventing? Why are we remarketing support and resistance?
I think people, I don't know that it's remarketing, but it's a reimagination. Like we should probably bring up, what's his name? ICT.
Oh, we will.
Like he literally just took the books from the 80s and just gave everything new names.
That's
right?
that's the point that I'm making. Why do people need to make it more complicated? Why can't we just, one of the biggest barriers to entry in trading is just the knowledge, and we see it in new people who join our Discord, right? What does a BOS mean? What does an MSS mean? What does this mean? And then we have to break it down to the basics anyways. So why are we reinventing? That's exactly what ICT did. What's a fair value gap? What did it used to be in forex, right? It used to be a single print. And before that, it was just just a gap or just a volume gap. And now they got different letters they're throwing in front of fair value gaps now. Why? Why can't we just keep it simple? Why can't we just call it?
We're humans, man. We overcomplicate things on purpose. But I don't necessarily agree that it's overcomplicating things. I use these as like I use order blocks, I use breaker blocks, I use fair value gaps.
Breaker blocks. Why can't we just call it old support or old resistance that was blown through? Do you know what I mean? It's adding an extra layer on
of a range, right?
It just seems like it's adding an extra layer on where it's not needed. It's like we already had easy to understand and explain terms. People understand support or resistance that was blown through. Breaker block, they feel like they got to read a whole freaking book on what a breaker block is.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's forcing anybody to use it, right?
I know, but I think it's a barrier to entry is what it is. I mean, I don't know the exact statistic off the top of my head, but there is a high percentage of traders who attributed all the jargon and it makes it seem like it's harder than it is. And I think it's the same way, like me and you could probably sell our own houses, right? But they make the process so freaking difficult and complicated that we need a realtor in order to sell our house, right?
Gotcha.
That's kind of the point that I'm making is it's like people, new traders focus so much on what, all the different names for a hammer candle, right? There's fucking 10 different
I don't even call them hammer candles
of hammer candles, right? Shooting stars and all this stuff.
All
but it's like,
candle. Why are you giving it a funny name?
Well, what's it doing? Like what is it actually doing?
I think it is like there's two different things. I think it's like actually a multi-level approach. A, you got people who think if they don't know that stuff, they're not going to be successful traders. B, there's people who use that knowledge to trick other people into buying into their products. And then there's C, the people who just use them to use them and don't focus on anything else, right? So for me, like I was saying, it's like bumpers and pulls. So if I hit this, it's going to go the other way. Does the name need to say this? Does it need to say that? Does it need to say support resistance? Does it need to say breaker block? Does it need to say order block? Does it need to say whatever? It's just what I fell into. It's just the first iteration. I never really changed it, right? So at the end of the day, you can have an order block in the middle of a range that holds and it goes the other way. It doesn't have to be at the far extremes of either side of the range. It just needs to be and exist, right? So for me, at the end of the day, I like structure, and structure has to have a name. If everything
but it had a name
was just plus and minus,
it had a name it had names before it was reinvented and then marketed.
Well, I don't know about all that.
20 different times. I mean, there's more people successfully selling courses on ICT than are actually.
Dude, it's gotten crazy. I will give you that. I've never moved past all the new into like. There's a whole new generation that names them things. I've never moved into that stuff. I'd actually have to look it up to even see what they're called at this point. But like the CSID stuff is like the newest version of this. The change in state and delivery. Bro, it's just expectation order.
Have you ever actually listened to an ICT, the actual guy?
Yeah, he
his
sounds like
stream. It's like everything. Okay, so calling a basic trend, quantitative, dynamic, stochastic equilibrium, it doesn't make you a genius. It makes you a fucking pompous twit. Is what it makes you. And it's not about being precise. Like he's not about being precise. I mean, it's like that shit.
He's
dude,
about being precise, probably.
Dude, that shit is it's as precise as a fucking shotgun in a phone booth. I mean, it's plain talk is precision. Like it hits the target without spraying fucking bullshit and spewing bullshit everywhere. Like talk how people talk. Like dude, I had to turn him off in fucking 10 minutes because it's like this guy just likes to listen to the sound of his own voice.
Did you just recently listen to him? I've never actually watched anything.
Yeah. And preparing for this, I was like, holy shit. That's the first time I've ever listened to him. Ever.
Wow. I think I caught a stream like maybe sometime last year around Christmas, but I just remember him yelling at his chat. It's like, see, I told you I was right.
But here it is. Half of people who avoid trading say it's because they don't know how or find it too confusing, right? So it's like What do you do
I
with
think
that?
it depends on your capacity as a trader, man. I use them because it gives me quantitative ease to what I'm saying and what I see filled and what I see unfilled and what's left in value. I mean, at the end of the day, the charts chop up and down. They fill fair value all day long, right? Until they decide to move it to a different auction house. And then we pick and choose levels from there. So if you want to make it more complicated than that, I choose to use a structure that people can follow if they're following how I trade. And you choose to use structure that you follow that people can follow how you trade. Is mine more confusing for more people? Probably. But I'm trying to think of like a good analog. Like if all the mechanics in the world just turned or called a Cadillac converter a smog thing, like it just wouldn't make sense. If they called a brake a stoppy thing.
Well, they would. It would make sense because that's the name that people called it. It's when you change it, right? If Volkswagen calls it a smoggy thing and Nissan calls it, something else, and then, Cadillac calls it something else, that's, I think, where people get confused. And I think probably
it's like, it's one of those things where who are you listening to? Are you listening to real people or are you listening to fake people? I don't take my car to the dentist for him to call it a smoggy thing. Like if he did that, I wouldn't take it to him. That makes sense?
Well, but no, it doesn't make sense.
And that's why
because
people use those terms.
If it was called smoggy thing, then we would accept that it's called smoggy thing. It would be, wouldn't be weird to us.
If it's called a Cadillac converter, but if I walk in and the guy's like, oh yeah, the smoggy thing, would you choose that guy to fix your car?
No, but that's not the same thing we're talking about.
It is, because he'd be a fake mechanic.
It's let's talk about Rim C.
I love Rim C.
Let's talk about Rim C. And I know you didn't come up with Rim C, but why not breakout and retest, which has been around since the 40s and 50s? Why do we have to make it range, initiation, mitigation? I forget
because
what
it
the
gives
C
you
stands
an
for.
exact step to follow.
No, it doesn't. So does breakout and retest. Breaks out, retest, goes.
But
It's the same thing. It's the exact same. It's the exact same thing, brother. Why are we overcomplicating it?
I don't think that's overcomplicating it.
It
gives
is
you
because
the exact.
It makes it. Everyone knows breakout and retest.
Yeah,
everyone.
I don't know about that.
Everybody,
people
bro,
just take
everyone calls it breakout and retest. You ask 9 out of 10 traders, you draw that on a chart, they're going to tell you breakout and retest. They're not going to say Rim C.
Just how I learned it, man.
No, I know, and I'm not saying you're wrong.
But I read it in a book from. I couldn't even tell you what book, but I could probably pull it off my shelf here and show you.
Yeah, I'm not even saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, that's not the point of this. Is I'm just trying to understand how your brain works and just kind of pick your brain on some of this, because I think a lot of this stuff gets weaponized, and it gets weaponized.
Oh, sure, it does. I 100,000% agree with that. It gets weaponized into liars and thieves constantly.
Yep.
And it's 99% of the industry, which makes it all super toxic. And
it comes down to this, like it's like the ICT stuff, man. It's like you're in a live trade, money's on the line. Do you want a simple rule or a 50-page PhD document of bullshit?
Go through his subreddit, dude. It's like, why did this trade not work? Well, it retested resistance.
Well, dude, it's because you're not picking the right fair value gap. You're not picking the right IFVG or whatever it is. That shit kills me. Same thing with order blocks. Like people,
I don't play like that though.
People will start to, well, this order block didn't hold up. It blew right through it. Well, you're not picking the right order block. Well, what does that even mean?
I don't talk like that. Hopefully,
I know you don't. I'm not saying you do. I'm just, this is what they do. This is what the people who take advantage of new traders do. Because if you can talk over their head, if you can sound smart to them and throw out a bunch of acronyms and a bunch of stuff that maybe they hadn't heard before, it sounds intriguing. And then you throw a Lambo up on the thumbnail, and pretty soon they're buying your $2,000 course.
Yeah, and I think that's the exact purpose they use it to gatekeep. So I'm in agreement with you there.
Yeah, no, I know.
But it's for me and for you. I mean, I know you just dislike the whole jargon concept to begin with, but when I hear people use it improperly and off the cuff or as an excuse for something, like you just took the wrong one and shit like that, there's more to it than all of those things, right? So it's always into a key level and then into some kind of shift. That stuff never changes. So, when somebody responds to your post on Reddit about why this play didn't work out and they just said you chose the wrong one, they're fucking full of shit and they don't know what they're talking about. They're just trying to sound smart to stupid people. And that's kind of where this all started.
Yeah.
It's
So,
hilarious to me.
so I see that too. I mean, here's the thing: when you become even a little bit successful in trading, and you start to kind of tear down the walls of, hey man, everyone's kind of full of shit, right?
Yeah, this
like,
stuff starts to stand out like a sore thumb.
it starts to stand out like a sore thumb. And do you know how frustrating it is to try to explain to people that most of everything that's thrown at you is full of shit? Like the
Almost
indicators, influencers, the market, yourself. Like, I just made a video on this, right? Like, everything, including yourself, is lying to you. So when you try to explain to someone that, it's like their ego throws up a defense, right? Because then it's like the smoke kind of goes away and you can kind of see clearly, and you've been doing it wrong for so long. It's the gatekeeper at the ivory tower. I think that's what it is. And I think that's why I don't like it, dude. I think I don't like it because I think it does more harm than good. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just think it does more harm than good. I think it keeps people away from trading. I think it just continues to flashy objects, or what they call shiny object syndrome, where you're constantly seeing things. And I'm not saying everyone's like this, and I'm not saying some people you shouldn't think like your brain thinks, or you should only think like I think, because that's stupid.
I mean, it's kind of left brain, right brain stuff when it comes to successful traders, in my opinion. It's easy to keep it simple if you're a simple kind of person. Yeah. And if you need to overcomplicate it a little bit to understand the mathematical concepts behind things, I think you just overcomplicate it a little bit. I'm not saying make it hard. I'm just saying make it right for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's at the end of the day, that's kind of where I wanted to get towards the end of it. And I think we will get there is, I mean, you got to find out what works for you. But I don't want people to think that they can't do it simply. They can't draw a couple trend lines on a chart, confirm, however you confirm, and run it. If you're patient and you're disciplined and you're taking A+ trades, it doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need to learn every single candle name.
I don't know.
Me neither.
So like, it's different. You know a lot of that stuff, and I'm like, that was an SFP candle. Easy.
Yeah. Once
depends on where you start, I think.
Yeah.
The first book I read wasn't on candle formations.
I just think, man, everyone's always chasing the shiny thing instead of just developing their own thing, right? Like everyone's ripping off someone else's strategy, or they see some video on something, so they try it for 2 weeks, and then they're on to the next thing.
Yeah, I think people reinvent the wheel to try to make a buck off of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, you think about like SEALs, or think about like any kind of special forces, Delta Squad, something like that.
Oh,
like
military SEALs. Yeah,
they don't have like a 50-point checklist when they're clearing a room, right? Two or three. Bust down that fucking door, left, right, guys go in, tap his shoulder. I'm not a Navy SEAL, whatever they do, right? But it's not like a quarterback in the NFL where there's like 100 different plays that they have to call. And that might be a shitty analogy, because I feel like I just talked myself out of that one, but yeah, I don't know, man. I think
for me, it's a lot of dynamic moving parts. Candles move fast, price action goes up and down. And when I can identify key areas and give them a name, I look for the return to that area and the reaction at it. And you take a lot of top, bottom, long to bottom, short to top kind of stuff. I take some intraday scalps in things. And I think my strategy requires at least to know how those things exist. And when those things exist for me, they need to have a name. If they don't have a name, they don't really exist to me.
But so why not simple names that don't overcomplicate it, right? So that's my point. Maybe it's just because that's where you started, right?
Yeah. I don't think I'm overcomplicating it. I don't think I reinvented the wheel.
I think you are, though.
I'm sorry.
that's I think you are. I think, like, again, RIM C versus this breakout and retest. why not just break out and retest? Do you know, if that's where you started, I can get that. But
sure. I think the Rim C has a finite end to the retest, and that's why I like it.
But so does breakout.
There's an invalidation point.
There's an invalidation point on just a simple trade. So I guess my point is this then. So, and I get it. I get it. I'm not saying you're wrong. You're right because you're a successful trader, but
I'm just giving you shit.
But why? Why not just break out and retest? Why not just keep it fucking simple? Here's also how I look at it. Like, you know, when I listen to ICT, I don't know if the guy trades. I don't know anything about him. A lot of people don't think he really trades. A lot of people think he's just paper trading, whatever you want to call it, right? I don't know. I don't know enough about him to make that assertion. Yeah. But, and I forgot where I was going with this. Total freaking mind blown. Total freaking brain fart, dude.
I think he's one of the resounding examples of setting a foundation of trend, right? But I think there's a whole nother group of guys out there, or girls for that matter, who have tried.
I know what I was going to say before I forget it again. Sorry to interrupt. If you can't explain yourself on a napkin, you don't know what you're talking about. If you can't explain it simply, I feel like you don't know what you're talking about. That's how my brain works.
I think you might not be an ideal teacher.
If I come up, I think you would be. You need to break it down simply so people can understand it.
I mean, if you can't explain it on a napkin,
you should be able to explain you should be able to explain your trading or whatever you're talking about on a napkin in a bar. If I come up to you and I hand you a napkin and I say, explain your strategy to me, you should be able to do it real quick in a minute or two. If it takes an hour and a half video and we're talking about whatever the hell he talks about on the streams for an hour, you lose me.
Probably drive me nuts.
You lose me. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm over it. You don't know what you're talking about, you know? And we could talk about, you know, Einstein's quote, right? Like, anybody can overcomplicate anything. It takes a stroke of genius to simplify it, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of where my brain's at. Like, you know, we talked about, and for the longest time, I mean, I dabbled into it. You know, I made videos on order blocks and smart money concepts. And I haven't traded that shit. But here's why I did it.
It sells, man.
Because it sells. But it sells to who? Who does it sell to?
The people who, like, so at the end of the day, I think the issue is if you can't tell somebody this is what you're looking for at the end of the day, they don't believe you.
But they don't believe you anyways, right? Because they're going to try it for 2 weeks.
So like if I'm back in like the 2000 fucking years of 25, if I'm back in like the 2016 area and someone says you just short the line, just short the top, be like, okay. Or if the guy, you know, or the next guy says, well, you're looking for this to happen and gives it a name, it kind of makes gives it a little bit more credence to value. So at the end of the day, you know, all the terms that I use, you know, I pretty much took out of the Wyckoff blocks or books, right? And kind of the same terminology that's been around forever. But if you're looking at, like, just pulled an CT tweet here from the 2025 model in simple terms. Determine a short-term session bias. That's pretty standard. If bullish, seek discount arrays. The fuck is a discount array? If bearish, seek premium arrays.
It's probably something super simple.
Algorithmic gaps to oppose short swing liquidity gaps. He needs to like reinvent himself to stay relevant at this point, right? So I don't know. I don't know if you just don't like any of it, or you just want to keep it simple, short resistance, long support kind of stuff, or, you know, we keep going around from there. But
yeah, it just
gets overcomplicated.
Like I said,
reinvent the wheel.
The only thing that I don't like about it is I think it hurts more than it helps. I do. Yeah. I think it suckers people into wasting years trying to figure it out, wondering why it's not working.
$6,000 private tour, you know, courses. Yep. And he's not even a profitable trader, which would be crazy.
Yeah, selling courses. I don't think he sells courses, but I mean, he's got a YouTube
private
mentorship.
Mentorships.
Yeah. I mean,
I think.
Yeah, and I think it boils down to there's lots of different ways to trade. I'm not trying to gatekeep that my strategy is, or it's not even a strategy. Like, you know what?
It's just
Here,
formula.
yeah, it's just a formula.
Yeah.
Here's what someone.
I even tried the simple. I mean, we've had this talk a number of times, right? And I've tried to keep mine simple. And I just use, we're going to claw back some of the imbalance here, like, and that's kind of just how I keep it, just to not overcomplicate things. And often that's true every time we do that kind of crap.
Yeah, I see it, man. I just don't want people to just overanalyze into paralysis. Like, people are so busy calculating that they miss the trade. It still blows my mind that, like, I was probably the only person in Discord that took that trade today.
Yeah, I mean, you took a pre-market short. It would still be in profit right now.
Still killed it. You know what I mean? And I see people's charts, man. I see people's charts. They're just overcomplicated, chasing shiny shit. No one wants to just read price, look at volume, react as prices.
There's some value in simplifying
is reacting.
it if you don't know any other way to do it, right?
Yeah, I think
if you're not successful the way you're doing,
real time risk demands clarity. If you have to think twice or look, if you have to think twice about a trade like that today, like a fast moving SFP, you've already lost, right? It's like your system's got to be so simple and so dialed in that you don't even have to think, that you're just instantly reacting.
Trading style. So that's the issue there. Like, you don't need to lock people into saying they only take SFPs. That was a crazy fast move, and most people.
It's the same thing off of support and resistance sometimes, or out of an order block, or out of a fair value gap. It's not just SFPs, especially in crypto that move fast. It's a fast moving market. That's why we trade it, because we're not interested in a 0.25% move on the Great British Pound to the euro or whatever. We're not interested in that. We're in crypto because it's fast moving. You need to have a system and a checklist that's so simple that you can just boom and go, right? And my plays I don't just trade SFPs. Do I smash every fucking SFP that's brought in front of me 9 out of 10 times? Do I take trend line bounces and diagonal breaks and structure shifts?
My point is, before you keep going on to that, is people don't need to master everything. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with what we're talking about. You don't need to master what an order block is. You don't need to master what a fair value gap is, or inverted fair value gap. You don't need to master or anything. You just need to master one thing, right? It doesn't need to be a bunch of stuff. You can be the king of SFPs. You can be the king of a trend line break. You can be the king of a market structure shift. You don't need to do everything. And I think that's, maybe, I don't think we have a lot of problems with the New York stuff at all, but when people ask those questions, the New York Live, can you explain that trade to me? And they still don't get it after you explain it 3 times. Maybe that's just not the type
3
of trade
times today, and then 3 times yesterday, and 3 times.
Yeah, it's like, it's okay, dude, that if you don't want to be an SFP, trader, that's not what you take. If you don't want to be an order block trader, that's just not what you take. If you don't want to be, a fair value gap trader, it's just not what you take.
I think if you insist on adding more complexity into your trading, love it, do you? But cut something else out. Like, how much? Like, when's enough, right? Like,
I trade 2 things, dude.
Like, people are so overloaded, man. People are just so overloaded instead of just focusing on one thing.
Yeah.
One simple freaking thing that works. And if you don't know what that one simple thing is, it's probably because you got too much shit on your chart. It is, right?
I don't disagree with you.
You got too much shit on your chart. You're focused on 10 things instead of one thing. Focus on one, master the one, and just do that over and over and over again. That's it.
That's what I'm saying. You just need one, and it doesn't have to be what mine is, and it doesn't have to be what yours is. It just has to be what you need it to be at the end of the day.
My I think Livermore said something like this, but it's like, my thinking doesn't make me money, right? It's my thinking actually probably works.
Cost me more money.
Cost me more money than just, here's my system. It takes me a second to check my boxes, and I'm already watching the market. I know what's happening going into my levels, right? I knew that there was a 15-minute and an hour divergence going into the New York sweep that happened today with the SFP, I already knew what was happening. I didn't even need to think. It just did what I wanted it to do, and I hit short, right?
Yep. I mean, you get to, it's like anything, dude. It's like riding a bike or driving a car. Like, you ever get in your car and you got somewhere to go and it's a little bit of distance away and you just kind of arrive. You're like, what the fuck did I do the whole time I was driving?
Dude, it's like
it's like muscle memory. You just arrived. So when you take the trade, it's just muscle memory at the end of the day. You know 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10 or 7 times out of 10, this is how it's going to react. And I think that's enough to win 7 out of 10 to take it every single time.
You know, it kind of reminds me of is, do you remember long-term capital management? They were a hedge fund started in I got it pulled up here. Started in 1998.
Ken's?
What's that?
Is that Kenny Griffin's?
No. So this was like a bunch of like MIT and Harvard, like economists, and founded by former head of Salomon Brothers. One of the guys who started, actually, I think 2 of the people who started were Nobel Prize laureates in economics. These were like super smart people. One of them worked for the Federal Reserve earlier.
They do blow it all up because they're too smart.
Blew it all up because they were too smart. But not only they were too smart, they're doing what ICT does, right? So they like invented new words, right? They invented new words to sucker people into giving them money. And they blew up, dude. They lost everything. They actually had to be bailed out by the Fed. The Fed had to bail them out. It was $3.65 billion lost, and it was lost super, super fast.
Jesus. That's crazy.
Yeah. Ain't got to be smart.
I mean, I think trading at the end of the day is the least amount of mistakes, not the most amount of right things, is what wins.
So I agree. I mean, I think people thrive. There's personality. There's different learning styles, right? There's, whether to keep it simple works for everyone, or just most or not most. Like, I don't think that matters. I think people got to figure out what works for them. What I will tell you is there is a point where there's too much complexity, right? Where there's just,
no, for sure.
What are you doing? There's many paths to profit, right? A complex system maybe fits a person to a certain degree. I think every trader is for sure wired differently, but my beef is when complexity is forced. When complexity is forced on traders, when and you know what I'm talking about, right? Like I unraveled the mystery of the market. Pay me $2,000 for my course.
Oh yeah, that stuff's stupid. But I think it gets even more caught up for like younger traders, right? So you remember the whole spider lines thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You draw 1,000 lines in your chart, and it finally stops at one of them, and you claim it was accurate. Like, what about the other 16 it blew through to get to that one? Like, you just had the wrong spider line, bro. It's like, I can't stand it, man. I can't stand anything that works like a broken clock. If it's wrong 20 times in a day and right once and you're claiming it works, it's fucking retarded.
Yeah, and in the book Market Gurus, you got lots of different types of traders, right? You got swing traders, macro players, there's quants in the book, and each kind of found their own groove, right? Mm-hmm. So some are wildly complex, some are so fucking simple that it's stupid. You'd be like, wait, what? That's all he does? So yeah, I mean, one size doesn't fit all, and it's I think the point is that everyone in that book found a style that fits their personality, the way that their brain works. Like I said at the beginning,
yeah. I don't think there's any reason to stomp on simplicity, and I don't ever try to do that to you. And I think there's even people in the market like, and I don't. This person I'm about to bring up, I have no idea if I can prove that she's a successful trader. I feel like she's given enough proof on their channel that she is. But this Tory Trades chick, right? Have you seen her at all?
Mm-mm. She
just trades trend lines. High daily, weekly, 2-day trend lines. If they break, she shorts the position. If it comes down and breaks the retest, she closes the position. and she's killing it. And she's showing statements and profits, and they're giving her so much shit that she doesn't know order blocks, and she doesn't know SFPs, and she doesn't know any of this other shit. And she's just got it so simple. She trades one strategy. It appears that she's profitable, and she's blown up because she's a pretty girl, and she's gotten a lot of shit along the way. But if she's actually profitable, good for her. Nice, simple strategy. If she's gaming the system, good for her because she's gaming it pretty hard.
So yeah, learning styles differ too, right? Like someone who started out by reading a bunch of books, listening to a bunch of podcasts on trading versus someone who didn't do any of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of sim traded or kind of threw themselves to the wolves. Is one right or wrong? No, I don't think so.
No, I just think it's a time frame thing.
It's different, right? It's just a different way to hopefully
the next person
achieve.
hops in Discord and posts about seeking discount arrays, I'm gonna fucking kick him.
So is simplicity truly universal? No. But what is?
Winning.
Yeah, I'd say discipline's probably universal. Winning's definitely not universal because we know the statistics. If anything,
Probably
losing.
successful trading is
If anything, losing is universal.
probably in trading. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
not everybody
simplicity-
wins, but everybody loses.
Yeah, I think simplicity is probably the tool that most use. Would you agree with that? I think
That's what most should use.
I
would
think it's not so. KISS I think should be a rule for most, but I've seen I've seen rare birds. Like I can't explain how Eddie can fucking watch 20 altcoins and crush it, right?
Yeah,
My brain doesn't work that way. His
Nope.
does.
Yep.
Yeah, it's you know what else I don't like? I don't like fucking fancy food, dude. You know? It's like overcomplicated fancy fucking food. It just you give me a fucking steak and some mashed potatoes, dude.
Yeah,
You
there's
know?
something to that.
No. And I think
Like breathing in the mic here.
I think the moral is you got to know who you are. And I think a lot of people think they know who they are. You know, I know some people, and I'm not going to mention names, who have been doing this for 2 years, been trying the same shit for 2 years, and it just ain't working. So what would you say to what does someone like that do? Where they've been
make a change, man.
where they've just been doing it for 2 years and nothing, right? Nothing's going. Like what do you say to that trader, man?
I think they're learning wrong, and they got to start from scratch.
So
Simplify.
I agree. I think that's huge. So I had someone say to me, my strategy, I'm not profitable yet, but I like it. Right? Been doing this for a while. So how long? How long do they try that strategy, that system, before they try or kind of strip it back a little bit? Get a little bit simpler, take it back to the basics. And if you end up where you were, great, right? But I think people are afraid, man. People are afraid to step back and go back to the basics and kind of just relearn. Because let's be honest, how many people actually truly start at naked trading?
Dude.
Probably zero.
Yeah.
Probably
It's
zero.
I mean, that's like the gateway drug is buying Market Cipher, buying
Yep.
Lux Algo. And then you're hooked. You're like, oh, this thing is my top secret weapon. And it's really not.
So if you're not successful, if you're spinning your tires and you've been at this for a while right now, I think it's okay. It's okay to just save that template on your chart. Try naked trading for a little bit.
Yeah.
Try it. Learn the price. Learn what happens at the highs and the lows, and with liquidity and with structure. And I think it might surprise a lot of people. And look, if you end up right back to where you were, great.
Nothing lost.
I mean, absolutely nothing lost. You weren't winning anyways. So what harm? What harm can there be in just bringing it back and stripping it back to the basics?
I don't think it harms anything if that's something you need. If you're overcomplicating and not finding success, I think you need to strip it back to the basics. Like you don't like if you're a car mechanic, you don't start by taking the top off the engine, right?
Right. But do you think that's kind of what like a good analogy for what a lot like myself included? Dude, my charts used to look like I can't even believe I was able to even see price action. I mean, you remember, dude, like Market Cipher A with all the little EMA bands, right?
There's like 40 of them.
Yeah, 40 EMA bands and
or 20 of them, I can't remember.
They throw Bollinger on top of that and, all this other, all the Lux Algo stuff, right? I couldn't even see price.
Yeah, I think the danger is
and I think that's the extreme.
Analysis, it's the same thing, man. Like, if you're using 20 different things, one of them's always right. Right?
No.
And then when that one's right, you discount the other ones. And then at some point in time, that one's wrong. And then something else is right. And you discount all the other ones. It's like a vicious circle. So take them all off.
You're all off?
Take them all off. Take all the indicators off. That's where you should start.
Yeah. And I just do that.
Price action.
I just
and then
do
you
that
should add things in.
Occasionally. Like I'll find myself like just occasionally stripping everything back so I don't get over reliant on indicators. And it might be like every 6 months where I'll just go through like a few week period where I'm just like, you know what? Stripping it back to the basics. So
I do that too. Like I find myself like, look, dude, I've been overcomplicating it a lot this week. Let's just tear it back.
Yeah, I haven't had Bookmap up in probably a month. Like maybe like once or twice in that period I've thrown it up. And you know what it's taught me? That I don't need it.
Yeah, you just don't need it.
That I don't need it. It's like a whole tool sucking up the resources on my computer, and I don't need it. My win rate hasn't gone up or down. It's like I'm trading the same.
Yeah.
So that's been interesting. I just don't need it, and I think another Einstein quote. He said, "Everyone's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid," right? So what does that mean for traders? Just because your style isn't working with someone else's method doesn't mean you're stupid. It might mean you're a fish trying to climb their tree, right? Like swim in your own water.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody has to find what works for them. I just think they start at the top. They do the same way they do trading. They long the top, they start at the top, right?
Yep.
You overcomplicate it immediately.
100%. Also, I think it's important to realize too that like if you try to copy my strategy or your strategy or Brian's strategy or Eddie's strategy, we didn't start there. It took us damn near a decade to end up where we're at. Right?
Yeah, I don't mind people copying strategy. They need to understand the entire strategy.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
My point is that they don't. Like if you went and knocked on your neighbor's door and you said, here's my chart, trade like me, they probably struggle because they don't understand it, right? They don't understand liquidity and order flow and market structure. They don't understand that stuff. So if you if you start at my chapter 10 and you're on chapter 1, it's going to be difficult for you because you don't understand what's behind that strategy. That's my point.
Yeah. I mean, there's one individual who's not in Discord anymore with us that would send me a DM, why this trade didn't work. What went wrong? And said, first of all, like I would have moved stop loss here. Why? Because it's structure top, shift top, and they let it blow through every fucking single time, dude, until they were messing with accounts and so frustrated. It's like you're trying to copy my strategy without copying all of my strategy. You can't just take bits and pieces of it and not take the whole thing. So if you don't understand the whole thing, it's top-down analysis of what I do is where you need to start, not just hop in and try to mimic. Trading is one of those things you can't fake it till you make it. Like you have to have finite stops and entries or you just blow all your money. It's crazy. Like risk management in trading is the number one priority. If you don't have money to trade, you can't trade.
Yeah, I think it's probably like one of the only jobs where, I mean, you can just lose all your money if you do that. I mean, what other? I mean, gambling, of course, but that's not a job. You know, I mean, what else? I mean, if you suck at your day job, yeah, maybe you'll get fired, but it's usually not right away. You know, usually you get a one-on-one or something, or
yeah. Well, they don't dock your pay for submitting the wrong documentation or doing something a little slower.
right, or being early or being late, or you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this game punishes you for being early. Work doesn't punish you for being early.
No. Maybe you
want
can't
more of your
clock in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You know, two newbie traders. You know, you have someone who maybe is like a former engineer. Maybe they're a little bit analytical. Maybe they're introverted a little bit. Might have a different brain than someone who, you know, came from a different walk of life. Maybe they're 19 or 20 years old. Maybe they don't have any real life experience, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But 3 years in, they could both end up successful because their journeys and styles are just night and day different. They're just different, right? What works for trader A doesn't work for trader B, and vice versa. But each found a path that aligned with them and their style.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think at the end of the day? I think we might have talked about this a couple times already, but if you're a new trader coming in, but you have just enough to be dangerous, and you're coming over to our Discord, our community, our floor, I think you come in with not relying on anything you know already. You just fresh slate it. It's easier to retrain somebody. It's harder to retrain bad habits than it is to just create good ones.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of the whole point of like the boot camp that I made. Like, I can't build you up without breaking you down, right? Like, I can't build you up. It take everything. Like, you're not winning, right? Otherwise you wouldn't have found us, right? It's like, we don't necessarily have billion-dollar hedge fund managers knocking down our doors, right? They already got their system. They already know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I can't build you up if I can't strip it back to the basics and see what you know, what you don't know. Because if you don't understand just the candlesticks and volume, you know, time on a chart, you don't understand the indicator, because that's just a combination of volume and time and price. That's it. That's all any indicator is, right? Time, price, volume. What else is there? That's it. That's what an indicator is comprised of. The two axes on the chart and the you know, the candle. That's it. That's all every indicator is made off of. So if you don't understand and truly understand that, how can you know what a Fibonacci extension is, or Elliott wave, or any of that other stuff? You can't. And that's the long ass path that it took me, right? Thinking I could find a shortcut in some.
Let me ask you, how many people do you think have actually read the books? I don't talk about them a lot.
Trading books?
Yeah, trading books. Yeah.
Oh, very little. I think most people don't do the work, man. I think at the end of the day, I think, you know, nobody wants to do the hard work. Everyone's looking for the shortcut. I was looking for the shortcut for years, right? Yeah. And I think a lot of people are lying to themselves. They're lying to others that they're doing the work and they're putting in the work, but they're not. They're not. We've said it. The blueprints here, man. The blueprints. I mean, it's only some of my books, but the blueprints are there. Like, it's
if I can pan my camera this way, I got most of the same ones.
There's no mystery. There's no secret to the markets. It's there, there. But no one wants to hear it. I think that's the problem. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear that it's hard work, that it's discipline. It doesn't get clicks. It doesn't get clicks. People aren't interested in it. They're interested in winning the lottery. That's it. Yeah. So to answer your question, very little. I think very little people have read the books. I think most of the content that they ingest is from LARPers and pretend traders and people who don't actually trade.
Was that what your video was on today?
Bullshit, huh?
Was that what your video was on today? I didn't
get a little bit. It was just mostly on just how much of a lie everything is. Like the market. I mean, everything lying, dude. We're lying to ourselves all the time. I lied to myself so much, justifying bad trades. I mean, that's what kept me out of journaling for so long, because I just didn't want to admit to myself that what I've been doing for so long was just stupid, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I still have a huge ego, right? So that that was a problem. But systems and just repetitive steps just it doesn't kill the ego, but it keeps it in check, right?
Yeah.
And I've learned
it's guardrails for ego. Maybe that's a good way
if I lean into my system and I trust my system, then the ego doesn't have a say in the trade, right?
Yeah.
At all.
I agree.
You got anything else?
Nah, man. I think it's let me recap it here a little bit. Use what works for you. Don't overcomplicate things.
It still makes me cringe, and I don't think that'll ever change. But
if you don't understand the jargon, don't use it.
I understand it. I understand the jargon, but my point was for this is
Not
different
you, but,
strokes for different folks. Don't think that just because I do something or just because Nick does something or whoever, right? That's how you have to do something. Like make your system your own. And if it ain't working, then what? If it ain't working after, I don't know. Rebuild, man. Go back to the drawing board. Throw some more shit at the wall. You know? All right, guys.
Later.